Hey everyone, this is Andrew Kissin, Senior Marketing Manager with Zahn Dental. We're here with Stephen Klein, Manager from Kuraray Noritake. Stephen, how is it going on the West Coast?
Well, it was going very well. And first of all, Andrew, I want to say thank you, and it's a pleasure to be with you, even though it might be just virtually. But sometime we'll get to meet again in person. But
Yeah.
yeah, the West Coast here, we unfortunately are seeing some increases again, just like many other states too. So we are, of course, having to double down on making sure we wash our hands and wear the mask and take all the precautions that they recommend. So hopefully we're not going to see too bad of a recurrence.
So, we're here coming towards the summer, end of June now, and Kuraray Noritake has always been at the forefront of innovation and really was the first company to come out with a multi-layered zirconia. What has Kuraray Noritake been working on recently that maybe dental laboratories should know about or might not know about the full line of zirconia and just other products in the portfolio?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to tell you. We have a really full, wide range of the KATANA zirconia, and of course, the KATANA branding name is what captures all of those options of zirconia for the laboratory. We have a newly launched, and it should be new probably for some. I mean, we have had it out for a while, a little over a year now, but just I think it's important to remind people that it is available. It's the high strength version. High strength meaning 1125 megapascal. We have HTML, which is a shade specific now high strength material. It replaces our original ML material, which was the originally launched material that you mentioned. That was all the way back in 2013. Now, of course, the downfall of that product was that it was designed to fit the shade range and not necessarily be shade specific. So it did create some challenges for the laboratory on which material should I use, which shade to achieve an A3, for instance. So what we've done is we redesigned the material, and instead of just calling it ML, it's now HTML, and it comes in all of the A through D shades minus B4, C4, and D4. So those three shades aren't available, but they're not a really, often used shade in the laboratory. So if the laboratory does get a call for that, they can easily take a B3, for instance, and stain it up to a B4 as necessary. Likewise for the C4 and D4.
So a lab that's manufacturing milling in-house, how does the HTML fit into maybe the production workflow and maybe reduce some of the steps from designing all the way through the finishing process?
Yeah, sure. Well, the whole concept behind appreciated zirconia is to shorten that labor intensive portion of it. In other words, let's eliminate the staining, which is labor intensive. It takes some time, it takes effort, it takes materials, which are additional costs. And so it streamlines that process. We want to get them at least 90% to the shade. They may need to do some final staining after sintering just to get that to match the patient's shade or whatever was taken by the doctor. We want to take a lot of that work out of it for the laboratory technician.
And what about some of the other products? Recently, I think some new stains came out. How do those maybe pair with the zirconia, or how would a lab be able to use that to maybe add some additional characterization post-sintering?
Yeah, and so the FC paste stains, which fall into the CZR category, that's the CERABIEN ZR, that is literally for after sintering, you have external stains and glazes. So there's 25 different colors or shades available, plus two glazes. They are all of the colors are fritted porcelain. So what that means to the laboratory technician is that these are going to remain translucent even after they're fired on the surface of the crown. So it creates a very three-dimensional, a lot of depth of character to the final restoration. And like I said, 25 of them are colors. Um, all of them have fluorescence built into them, including the glaze, in varying degrees of fluorescence. If, however, that's not enough, we do have additional fluoro only that they can add to any one of the glazes by itself or the stain and glaze mixtures to create the proper amount of fluorescence they're looking for. It's an easy way, doesn't create a tattoo look, and it's low temperature. So at 750C, they have no worry of anatomy if they want to use it on a layered crown as well, or even pressed crown. It works wonderful for that as well.
And in your experience, you're seeing, or we see dental labs using the HTML and the multi-layer zirconia because it has the natural aesthetics built into it. But where in your opinion are you seeing, or do you envision technicians or maybe even ceramists using some of the stains for additional characterization?
Primarily, if they want to deepen the amount of chroma effect in the cervical region, that's obviously one of the uses for it. We have A plus, B plus, C plus, and D plus specific stains for that. So if they need to bump up the chroma on that crown, they can very easily grab one of those stains. The other one that is really, really popular is one called grayish blue. This is used in the incisal to mimic translucency. Really, really has been very popular. It looks great. And one of the other unique ones, I think, for our system would be one called value. And a lot of times the technicians fight that value condition of too bright, or you get a highlight right in the central third of the crown. Well, the value allows you to bring that value down so it's more acceptable.
And then, so besides the stains and the HTML, there's also a little bit of a need in the marketplace for something with a lower translucency. And you guys recently launched a disc to address that.
Yes, and we don't expect it to be a massive, huge seller because it's very opacious, but that is by nature what makes it so wonderful. It is called the LT disc, and it's designed to block out dark preps, titanium abutments, maybe post and core, those situations where there's not a lot of space and yet you have to block out dark colors underneath. So this gives the technician a fighting chance to develop a really good looking restoration and block out that dark effect that's underneath. I'm telling you, I get the call all the time of how do we do it? It's usually after the fact though, and at that point you can't use any amount of cement to cover that up. So the framework, and I should mention that it is designed for layering. It's too opacious to be used as full contour. So the LT framework will block out that dark color, then they layer the porcelain on it to have a really, really great looking restoration. Now, this is available in all kinds of thicknesses too. It's high strength, so it can be used for full arch, long span bridges, whatever the case requires.
And you actually just mentioned something about cementation and really, I guess, seeding the final restoration. And it'd be, in the dental lab world, of course, Kuraray Noritake materials, porcelain, zirconia. But on the clinical side, you have materials that help a doctor with that. What did you launch recently for the chair side?
Well, and let me correct you on that. It's both chairside as well as laboratory, and I'll tell you how the lab can use it for their own use as well. But it is the PANAVIA SA Cement Universal. Now, this is a self-adhesive cement, dual cure, so it can be light cured as well as self-curing. What it has built into it is called it's a new monomer, LCSI, in conjunction with our original MDP monomer. MDP allowed for bonding to zirconia, enamel, dentin, even alloys. Now, with the new LCSI monomer built into it, it's a silane coupler, so it has best of both worlds. They can now bond directly to lithium disilicate, to porcelain, and even composite resin without the need for using a primer. So it's directly dispense, seat, and they're done for the doctor. Now, on the laboratory side, they don't have to use a primer either when they are luting together the titanium components and full crowns for implant type cases. It gives them the speed of being able to deliver the cement and create beautiful true chemical bonds with this material. And for the laboratory, in fact, we have hand mix version, which is really very cost effective for the laboratory because they typically don't use the auto mixing tips anyway, they're throwing them off to the side. So this allows them to have the most economical use, dispense only what they need, and spatulate together to create the final cement.
Stephen, you're working for Kuraray Noritake, one of the most innovative companies in our space. Where do you envision maybe the market going or heading that you guys might be working on, or just something for dental laboratories to be aware of? If you can share that, I think everyone's always interested in what's coming next.
You know, I can't of course be specific. We're constantly always pushing the envelope for materials. We are a materials company. We avoid going into the equipment side because that's not our forte. It's not our specialty. So we do stick very specifically to the materials. I can promise you, our R&D teams are working on the next greatest and best.
Well, Stephen, really appreciate your time, everything you, Kuraray Noritake, bring to the dental laboratory industry. And we do look forward to see what's next, knowing that you and the team there are always innovating. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you, Andrew, and looking forward to the next time.